Hey, aloha everyone. Michael Crouch here. I'm just getting everything dialed in, so bear with me for one moment here. All right. All right, guys. Aloha. We are out here in Denver, Colorado. It's my first time out here and excited to be on the call with you guys today. Today, we're going to be talking about some new Facebook strategies that are coming out. So whether you're basically getting in the game with having your own online agency, or you want to basically just do advertising for yourself or e-com, these strategies are going to pretty much apply across the board. So what we're going to be talking today about in a little bit of detail is some of the newer strategies that Facebook's rolled out. One of them is actually in the SMMA course. It's on lead ads, and I'm going to go over that one with you a little bit. There's been some updates to how that works, and so I'm going to kind of cover some of those updates and how you guys can really utilize Facebook lead ads. And then I also want to kind of get into Facebook Messenger ads as well and talk to you guys a little bit about that. Facebook Messenger ads is a new ad strategy that's come out that's really booming, and I'll tell you guys a story about it, how powerful it really is, and actually Ty and some other big notable marketers that are out there. You may have seen them really starting to push this heavy recently, and it's because the results from it are so profound. And so whether you're doing this for as an agency, or whether you're doing this for yourself, for physical products, digital products, there's going to be applications for this across the board. If you guys stick with me until the end, I will give you guys a couple links. One of them will allow you to access a lead ads course, which is only $1. And it's actually a course that one of your SMMA students took, actually the old version, so we've updated it to kind of be more current, but they took the old version, and I ran into them at an OMG event. A kid named Sam came up to me and he's like, "Hey, Mike, I saw your video on Tai Lopez, and I took that strategy, and in 3 days, I was able to turn that into $24,000 into his business. Just this one simple strategy that's super easy." So I'll give you the link so you can actually access the updated version of that course for $1, and no strings attached. You can get the whole course. It's about 45 minutes, and it'll walk you through exactly how I teach people to use Zapier in conjunction with Facebook lead ads. Basically what that is a way for businesses to get leads in and have it be really organized and also really cost effective. Interesting story. I actually did this for I live out in Maui, but I'm out in Denver right now. But I did this for a gym. A friend of mine owns a gym out in Maui. And it was funny because I just did it for free just because I wanted the case study, and it produced a lot of really good results. But before I came on board and kind of took over their marketing, they were paying a couple guys to do it, to do Facebook marketing, and they weren't really doing lead ads. They were just kind of doing, the more generic ads. I think they were a little bit new in the game, but they were putting in a lot of time. They were putting in like hours and hours and hours of work. And I came along and put this lead ad strategy to work. And the funny thing is that the owners of the gym came up to me, not too shortly after, and was like, "Wow, Mike, like, I'm so grateful that you did this. Like, you're actually putting all of this work and time into basically making sure that we get, these leads coming in, and it's so effective." And the other guys that we were working with, they were just like effing off. They were just like messing around, and they weren't really like putting that much time into it. And you've really taken this seriously, even though we haven't even paid you. You're just doing it to get a testimonial out of it, and you're putting so much more time and interest into it. And the funny thing is that it was the opposite. I was actually putting in way less time. The guys before were putting in, a multiple of time more than me. But that's just funny how perception is. And so these are the kind of strategies that I want to teach you guys, because at the end of the day, the client really doesn't care how much time you actually put into it. What they really care about is perceptively how much value is bringing to the table, and perceptively how much time does it look like you put into it. Because the reason this strategy works so well is because it's so clean and so efficient. And basically what it does is it allows the leads to automatically go into a very simple, what's called a CRM system, or client management system, where basically in real time, as those leads come in, the owner of the business, or if it's for your own business, you can see those leads come in real time with their name, their phone number, their email, and a lot of times it'll even pull like their Facebook address or their Twitter or their LinkedIn. It'll pull everything they have that's stored in Facebook. All of this, the client doesn't have to put in any. They don't have to put in any. I'm sorry, not the client. The consumer, the person opting in, doesn't have to put in their information. So all they have to do is click a button, and Facebook actually has all their information pre-populated. So they'll have your name, your email, your phone number, all that stuff pre-populated. So two things: one, it's easier for the person opting in; they don't have to type in anything, and so it's easy for them. Two, you eliminate getting bad information, because a lot of times people will have like, emails that they use just for like opting in that they don't really check. So you eliminate that problem, and you get the people's phone number, because a lot of times if you ask for a phone number and someone has to type it in, it's just not going to happen. They're going to leave. You're going to get a large percentage of people who just won't do that, whereas Facebook already has your number, it pre-populates it, and then people are much less reluctant to just go ahead and give you their number, since it's just already there and they don't even have to type anything in. So bear with me for just a second. I'm going to pull up some things here on my screen. I'm also going to let me get this stuff up ready for you guys here. Also, if you guys are logged in, if you have any questions, I'll be answering questions a little bit as we go along, and then a lot towards the end. So if you guys do have any questions, please either shoot them in as we go or write them down. I'll do a majority of the question answering at the end, but I might do a little bit kind of as we go. So let me just cue this up here. So the other thing, as I cue this up, that we're going to be talking about is Facebook Messenger ads. So for those of you that don't know about Facebook Messenger ads, it's a strategy that basically allows you to communicate with people via Messenger. Now, it's a little, there's some rules to it. You can't just be blasting promotions into somebody's message box. So if somebody gives you permission to message them, you can't just go in there and just completely, bombard them with solicitations, but you can start to solicit them a little bit, and you can stay in touch with them. And the really cool thing is that the amount of people that click on it versus email is staggering. So when you look at Messenger ads Messenger communication versus email communication, it's staggering. So it's a big difference. All right, so all right, 1 second, and we will dive right into the Zapier training. So just give me about 30 seconds, and we will be in the game. Alrighty. So for those of you that are just coming on, we are going to be diving into Facebook lead ads and Facebook Messenger ads training, and basically just some of the new strategies that you can use to really bring in leads cheaply and efficiently for not only your clients, but also for yourself. So you can do this with like e-com, or especially with agency stuff. You can really hit this home. And I'll give you guys a link at the end where you guys can actually access we're going to go through lead ads and how it works. But if you guys want to access the full class, I'll give you guys a link, and you'll actually see a testimonial from one of the SMMA members that took kind of the old version of the class and was able to do about $24,000 in sales in about 3 days after watching the video. So you can access that class for only $1, and that'll be at the end. I'll give you guys the link to that. And we'll dive in. And then the other thing we're going to be covering is Messenger ads, which is a way that you can get into Facebook Messenger and start building a list through Facebook Messenger. So pretty awesome stuff. Alrighty. Alrighty, so we're going to dive into it. I'm going to bring up the PowerPoint. And walk you guys through exactly how we do this, and I'll show you guys how Sam, who's one of the students of SMMA, was able to do about $24,000 in 3 days after watching the class. So pretty good stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and get it going here. Okie dokie. All right, so we're going to bring up the keynote. All right. All right, let me share my screen. All right, so you guys should be able to see my screen now. All right, so let's go back here to the beginning. And this is going to be called Epic Productivity with Zapier. And we're going to talk about kind of what lead ads is and why it's important. But first, I want to talk a little bit about Zapier and kind of the evolution of kind of how the apps have worked. So with kind of in the world of apps, I'm actually kind of close to how that all came about. My brother actually started a site back in the mid-90s called palmgear.com, and that was actually the very first app store ever. It was a company that my brother, his name is JD Crouch, and a guy named Kenny West started with about $1,500. And within 18 months, they were the largest Palm Pilot software provider in the world. Now, some of you may be too young to know what Palm Pilot is, but back before iPhone, Palm Pilot was really all the craze. And so they were the first platform. And what they did was they basically were the first to be able to share apps on a platform. So they did an 80-20 split with the developer. So the developer kept 80%, Palm Gear kept 20%, and they built this big giant ecosystem of apps. And it became the first app store ever. And it became the largest Palm software provider in the world after 18 months with only a $1,500 investment by my brother and his friend. And then I'm sure you guys know the next evolution of the App Store, which is the Apple App Store, which Apple is now the largest company in the world. And they are, have the same App Store. One of the fundamental differences is now we have it on our phones as opposed to it being on a device, which having your phone and everything all in one is obviously a big step forward. And also they adjusted the model so that it was a 70-30 split. So that actually the developers kept 70 and Apple kept a little bit more money, 30%, and they've really thrived with that. Now, another app store that we've seen recently is Shopify. So Shopify has taken the same app store concept, and now they've done it on the e-commerce store. So now instead of you getting games and little widgets and things on your phone, you are able to do that to your e-commerce store. So instead of having to reach out to developers and say, hey, I want to get a countdown timer put on my site, or I want to get an abandoned cart sequence, or I want to get an upsell app where it upsells a product. All of those things are now apps. So instead of you having to reach out to a developer and try to, communicate what you want and wait it out and pay, top dollar for it, or have to go overseas to save money and kind of jump through these hoops, now it's an app store for your e-commerce store. You can click a button and that app goes directly to your store. So it's pretty awesome. And now what we want to talk about is kind of another form of app store, and it's called Zapier. And so what Zapier is really, really cool. It's basically, Zapier is a way to connect really, really big programs. So when we talk about, like, let's say we want to make Google work together with Facebook, or we want to make, MailChimp, or like GetResponse, or one of these mail servers, or Infusionsoft, or a company like that work with Facebook, or work with, any of these giant companies out there. Zapier is kind of our go-to. Before Zapier existed, the way that you would do that is through what's called an API. An API stands for Application Protocol Interface. It's kind of a geeky term that only developers really know. And that's the way that computer systems talk to each other, through an API, or Applications Protocol Interface. Now, in the old days, before Zapier, that had to all be done through code. So you would have to find a coder, and basically Google's going to have this huge list of rules on how their system can work with other systems and how that code works. Facebook's going to have a huge list of how their API works and how their code is able to interact with other codes. And then you have to hire a coder to go in and basically read these long lists of how their code can work together, and then be able to program that for you from scratch. That's the way it used to work. Now, Zapier is a new company that's just come out in the past few years. Actually, my friend on Big Island was running a big division of it for a while. And oddly enough, it was actually running a huge division all remotely. So Zapier is a huge company, multi-million-dollar company. And it was pretty cool because they were running a huge division of the company of developers, and they were all working remotely through Skype, which is pretty neat to see big companies that are doing that. And the advantage is, for the developers, they could get really good developers that just wanted to work from home. Instead of going into an office, they could find the developers that were more like family men, or people that just didn't want to go into an office, and they're able to build this huge team around it. So anyway, just a side story, my buddy was running a big division of them, but they are a super cool company. And again, these are just a very, very small amount of the apps that can be connected with Zapier. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, but here we just see a small list of about 16 of them. But this kind of gives you an idea. So in essence, if you wanted to have Facebook lead ads, which you can see there on the third row, work with, let's say, Google or Google Sheets, you could do that. You could have a lead ad come in, and when it gets that information, Zapier could automatically shoot that information over to Google Spreadsheet, and you could have those leads go into a Google Spreadsheet automatically. And Zapier would basically do the heavy lifting for you, so that you don't have to have that program from scratch. So that's kind of the idea with Zapier. Now, in the old class that we taught with using lead ads, we actually showed people how they could put together Facebook lead ads with a Google Sheet. And so the leads would come in and they would go into a Google Sheet. Now, what you'll see in the new course, and I'll give you guys a link for it, you can access it for $1, is we're going to use a CRM platform called Insightly. And it's really, really good. So it's got basically all the bells and whistles you can ask for, but it's really, really, really simple. And you won't get bogged down in it like you would with a company like Salesforce. So like if you've ever used Salesforce, you can see Salesforce there on the bottom, on the fourth row, second one over. You could also integrate Salesforce if you wanted to, but Salesforce is a very, very robust client management system, more for big companies. So I recommend Insightly because it gives you basically everything that you really want and need, and it's much simpler, much cheaper. It's like darn near free, so it doesn't cost you anything. But the really cool thing is if you guys are doing this for agencies, it's so clean. So you give them the login access to the Insightly CRM, and then when the leads start coming in, they can even pull it up on their phone. So if they have an iPhone, they'll have the leads come right into their phone, and it just looks so awesome. Like if you're on the client side, you're just like astonished and so impressed because you've never seen leads come in real time like that and actually go into a client management system where they're super organized, and then they could have themselves or a salesperson on their team call those clients back. And then when they call the clients back, there's a whole way to annotate those leads, so that, let's say you call, Joe Smith in, Denver, Colorado, where I'm at. And he says, hey, yeah, I'm super interested in your services, but I'm not going to be back I'm not going to be back in the office for a week. So could you call me in a week? The old method on Google Sheets, when we used to just put it into a Google spreadsheet, that was kind of hard to manage that. You'd have to type it into the Google spreadsheet and then really keep track of people that want to call back. Using Insightly, it's much more organized and much better, because then you can just basically put that in the comments and set an alert, so that when a week rolls around and you got to call that client back, it's just going to send you that alert, and then you can call them back. And if they want to sign up, you can sign them up right there for whatever your services are. Or if they need more time to think about it, you can set another reminder, and it just keeps everything in the pipeline super, super organized. And we were finding that we were getting most of our leads for right around $5, which is really, really good for leads, especially getting a phone number. Normally, when you're getting emails, you're getting about $5 to $6 an email. We're getting $5 an email, but we're for sure getting the right email, because we're getting the one straight from Facebook. So we're getting a better email for sure than we would normally get if someone just was going to type it in manually. So that's one advantage. And then two, we're getting a phone number. Whereas if we were asking people to type in their phone number, the chances of us getting a real phone number or even getting them to type in a phone number would be super low. So this is a way that we can get a lead very cheap, and make sure that we get accurate information. And for those of you that are utilizing the phone, you can get that phone number, which is really, really important. And one thing I really like to stress, and for those of you that don't know my story, I started off in e-com in 2014, and I was able to do about 1.3 million my first month in sales with my own products. I was primarily selling t-shirts and hoodies at that time. And I was able to scale up a lot. I mean, we scaled from 0 to 1.3 million in 30 days. And that was all through people checking out online. And again, this is going to apply to you if you're in e-com or if you're doing agency stuff or anything that you're doing. So this is in the early days of kind of when Facebook rolled out their new advertising platform, like early 2014, is that they were basically, we were causing people to check out on the page. We weren't having any sort of personal contact with them. Where the phone really kicks in is when you can get leads cheap. Let's say you're doing marketing for a dentist or a lawyer or a roofer, or let's say you're doing marketing for your own business. Maybe you do private coaching. Maybe you are a personal trainer. Maybe you're trying to get people to a gym where you want to give them a call back, or a yoga studio, or anything like that. A phone call is very, very powerful. So if we can take a model with Facebook ads that normally would work super, super well just by us getting people to check out on the page, which I proved, you can do. We did, again, over $1 million just getting people to check out with no personal phone contact. Imagine how much better you can do is if you incorporate that personal touch of calling. It's like mind-blowing. And there was a guy that wrote a book. He was actually over at Ties not too long ago. And he talked about when he was first setting up his company, he was doing a lot of Facebook ads, and he was getting the phone number. He actually wasn't running lead ads, but he was getting the phone number, and he was calling them back, and he was able to basically kind of single-handedly get his company to doing $1 million a year by that extra step of getting people on the phone. And so this is really what I like to push with people who can do that in their industry. There's a lot of industries it applies to is, hey, have yourself or a salesperson or the client that you're working for get on the phone and just kind of have like a soft little sales pitch that you guys can do. And that's really, really going to help to make Facebook ads that much more powerful. So that's my recommendation here. Here's just kind of a little look at some of the top apps that are working in Zapier right now. So right now we're going to be teaching lead ads. So you can see here that lead ads is by far the #1 app that people are using within Zapier. So That's why we're going to teach it, is because it works really, really well within Zapier. Now, Google Forms is number 2, and that's what we used to teach. We used to teach people how we take that lead and we put it into Google Forms so that that lead goes into the Google spreadsheet. Now what we're going to show you is a little bit more of a refined way to do that. It's still easy. It's basically free as well, so it doesn't really cost you anything extra. You can set up a free account with Insightly. But we're going to show you how to, instead of using Google Lead Ads with Google Forms, we're going to put it into that CRM so that everything's much cleaner. And the perception to your client, if you're doing this in client work, the perception is like off the charts. Like I told you guys the story, if you heard it, about the gym I worked with out in Maui. I mean, they were like, wow, Mike, you did all this extra work. You know, these other guys were slacking off and you came in and did all this work, and we're so like impressed that you worked so hard on this, when really it was the opposite. They had done much more time. I'd put in much less time, but perceptively, because it was such a clean system and because the leads came in so nicely, they saw it as me doing more work. And again, that's what I like to stress. And I see it all over, like the top SEO people. If you look at people like, Cotton Grammar, Stephen Floyd, some of these guys that are doing, really big numbers with search engine optimization, they're not putting in a lot of work. They're doing things that perceptively to the client add a lot of value, not necessarily things that take them a lot of time. In fact, they don't want to do anything that takes a lot of time because that's going to limit the scale of their business. And when I give you guys the link at the end of the presentation, you'll be able to see a testimonial from one of the Tai Lopez SMMA students that was able to take this lead ad strategy and within 3 days put up $24,000 into his business just using this strategy. Now, the reason that he's able to do that and can do that in the future is because, the strategy perceptively to the client is awesome. It looks like you're doing tons of work. It looks like you're just changing their lives in the lead generation department. But in the background, the work that you actually have to do and the actual time that you have to put in is very, very small. So you can charge $24,000 for something that maybe would only take you a few hours to completely set up and get on autopilot. So you're making thousands of dollars an hour, which is really what we want to do. We want to put ourselves into that driver's seat of making thousands of dollars an hour, because that's really where we can scale our business. And that's really honestly what you guys deserve to make if you become experts in this field. A lot of people, maybe came from jobs where they're making, $10 an hour, $20 an hour. And if they think if they're charging $100 an hour, that's like breaking, the stratosphere on income. But the truth is that if you're doing these things right, you should be charging at least $1,000 an hour for what you're doing, because you're going to be using strategies like this that have high perceptive value, high perceived time involved, high perceived work that's going into it, but the actual effort that you have to put in is low. And so today we're going to teach you guys a strategy that involves putting together Facebook lead ads, Insightly, as well as using a mail responder, which would be like a MailChimp or Aweber or something like that. Okay. So let's kind of take a look at this here. So this is what the Zap is going to teach you in the class. So you guys are going to have, let's see here. Cool. The first thing here is when the lead ad comes in, it's going to do two. So what Zapier does here is, and it's very simple to set up, and you can see it there in the dollar course if you guys sign up for it. And I'll give you guys the link for it. It'll walk you through all the specifics on this, and it's super, super easy. But essentially, this is what's called a double zap, meaning that there's two zaps happening. The first zap is Facebook lead ads taking that information that they got in the ad, and it's going to shoot that over to a mail responder like GetResponse or MailChimp or Aweber. Any of these will work, and they're all in Zapier. Okay, so the first thing it's going to do is it's going to send it to there. Now the reason it does that is because we're going to get people on our list. So we're going to take their email and we're going to get it on our list. The first email we're going to send them is going to be some sort of free offer that we're giving them. So for the gym, it was a week free at the gym. So that's what the video was. So in general, the best lead ad that you can run is going to be a video. So in this case, the video came up, and it was people having fun at the gym. They were showcasing all the new equipment and everybody working out. And the headline on the ad was, Fusion. It's called Fusion Fit. Basically take advantage of a free week on us. Just click the link, and we'll send you, 1 free week to the gym to come check it out. And they push the button on the lead ad. All their information comes up pre-populated: their name, their email, their phone number, any other information that you want. But we just take name, email, and phone number. Comes up pre-populated. The client doesn't have to put anything in, and then they just click one more time to confirm, and that triggers the lead ad, and that triggers the Zap. And so now it's going to take the email and it's going to send it to our mail provider, which is like GetResponse or MailChimp. And the first email it's going to send out is going to be that certificate. So it's going to be a nice little certificate that we can make in Photoshop or something like that that says, hey, here's your 1 week free with our address and some nice pictures. And that gets emailed to them. And then what we recommend is that you have a follow-up sequence so that they get the free offer. Like with a dentist, it could be a free consultation, or for roofing, it could be a free consultation. Pretty much any business out there, you can come up with some sort of free offer that you can get them. Because a lot of times your free offer is going to lead into actually getting them to sign up. So if a gym, if they're giving them 1 week free, well, that's so that they can, after the week, try to get them to sign up for the whole month. Now, some gyms go as far as to actually get them to sign up to get the free week. And if they don't cancel, then it automatically kicks in. So, they get the 1 week free, and if they don't cancel after 7 days, then it auto renews. Some gyms don't like to do that because they don't want to deal with any sort of refunds that they would get from people that, let's say, forgot to renew. So other places don't do the auto renew. So they get the week free, and then if they want to continue after the week, then they come back in and they would just sign up. But either way works. Just kind of depends on what your business model is. But in essence, the mail responder, whatever you use, GetResponse, MailChimp, Aweber, any of those, the first email that's going to be sent is going to be, congratulations, here's your free offer, whatever we offered, whatever was advertised in the lead ad video. And then, and a lot of times some of the best videos, by the way, guys, like if you're thinking you have to do some crazy production, some of the best videos are shot on an iPhone. If you see a lot of Ty's videos, his Facebook videos are the videos that are actually leading in. So the first video that you see, that's the ad, a lot of those are shot on iPhone. Now, once you actually click on the ad and you go to the landing page, a lot of those videos are shot very professionally with, the best gear out there. But what's interesting is that the phone is, if you look at a lot of Ty's stuff, that's primarily what he's using for a lot of the ad videos. So the videos that we would use in this case on a Facebook lead ad. And we actually tested this with the gym, which was super interesting, is we had one that was a professional video of the gym, right? Then we took a video with one of the owners, and he just held the phone up like this and did a walkthrough and was basically just candid with the phone and was like, hey, we're here at the gym, we want to give you a week free to come check it out. We just got a bunch of new equipment. And he's kind of showing you around with the phone. And that ad actually performed better. So if you guys are looking to get in the game with video ads and you're maybe a little bit scared of having to deal with video production, take after Ty. He has all the film equipment in the world and a huge professional film crew, but a majority of the ads, the ad videos, are on a phone, and you guys anybody that has a phone can do that. So after the first email goes out that sends the free offer, whatever your free offer is, you probably want to have an email sequence in there that sends out a second, a third, a fourth email. That basically reminds them, hey guys, just want to remind you to take advantage of the free offer that we sent you. And then a few days later, same thing. Hey guys, just want to remind you of the free offer that we're going to send you. Okay, so that's that. Then the second thing that you want to do is the second Zap is going to send it to Insightly. Now this is where we switched it up a little bit because we used to send it to Google Sheets. And that's good. It's going to put all those leads, name, email, and phone number into a spreadsheet. But couple things. One is you're going to get a lot of people that are going to say, hey, call me back in a week, call me back in a few days. And if you start having to annotate that to a spreadsheet, it's going to get messy. So Insightly is going to do a much better job. It's super simple. It's basically free to get, and it's going to manage that way better. So if you have something that says call you back in a week, you're going to be able to annotate that in there. You can even do it from your phone, which is awesome, or your computer. And then when a week rolls around and you got to call Bob Smith back, then it's going to give you that that reminder, and you can call Bob Smith back. So that's awesome. The second thing is if you're doing it for clients, If you're doing it for clients, then it's going to have a much higher perceived value because they've never had I can pretty much guarantee you, they've never had a marketer give them access to an app that they can access from their computer or their phone that's super simple to use, where they're going to be able to see all these leads coming in real time. That's going to impress the heck out of them, and that's really how you're going to be able to even charge more for what you're offering, because when they start seeing those leads come in real time on their phone and they can check it, or on their computer, and then they can have their salesperson call them back right away, that's really good. And what the gym found was that if they were calling them back within 24 hours or even within the first few hours, like right when the lead came in, the receptiveness was exponentially higher the faster they could call them back. And so that's a really great lesson that you guys can use for not only your business, but also for other businesses, is that you can basically have those leads coming in real time, and basically for yourself, or let your clients know that the faster you're able to call them back, the better response time, or the better reaction that you have, and the more likely you are going to be able to convert those people into buying whatever you're selling. Now, the great thing is here is because we're utilizing the phone, the amount of response that we get to this is super, super high. So what I mean by this is we're getting leads with this strategy for about $5, right? So with a gym membership, this gym membership in particular, if they sign up for it, is it was about $69 a month. They have to prepay the first and last month, so that's about $140. And the average stick time for the people that keep the membership is easily 6 months to a year. So if you get somebody to sign up and you're looking at that $69 a month rate, you're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of about $500 that you're going to get as an average value off of each customer. Well, here's the thing: if you're bringing in leads for $5, that means that you only need to close 1 out of 100 to basically break even on that 500. Well, here's the thing: they weren't closing 1 out of 100. They were basically getting like 1 out of 2 to sign up. 1 out of 2 people that opted into the lead that they'd actually call back that would come in. So they're actually getting people to come into their business and get the free week for around $10, maybe 15 at the most, when they stand to make $600 off of every single client. Now look at this for another industry that's even more money in it, like a roofer. An average roofing job is in the thousands. An average dental, like if you're looking at doing like dental restoration stuff, that's in the thousands. So if you're doing work for these kind of bigger clients, which is really what you want to look at, if you're doing work for clients, because no matter what you're doing, it's always the same. Like if you're doing work for a restaurant, it's going to be the same amount of work as if you're doing a restaurant and a plastic surgeon. It doesn't matter. It's going to be the same amount of work for you regardless. So my advice is always focus on the higher yield clients. Don't focus on the restaurants unless that's your specialty. Focus on places that have a higher yield. It could be a high-end gym. It could be a dentist, a lawyer, a plastic surgeon. These type of people, every single lead means so much. So if you can show them a system that's super clean, that's super cost effective, and just looks more professional than anything they've ever seen, that's going to be a big bonus in your favor. Okay, so I got a question that came in, and I just want to address it. So Octavio said, Mike, $1,000 an hour seems a little high, in my opinion. Could you please explain this? So when I say charge $1,000 an hour, I mean my rate for coaching is well over $1,000 an hour. But when I'm talking about it in this sense, you're not charging hourly. You're charging for the job. So like, for example, with Sam, who was the SMA student who took this strategy and made $24,000 with it in like 3 days, what he did was he signed the client up for a year. So they signed up for a whole year at $2,000 a month. Now, he could have either split those payments or had them pay a lump, but either way, he's collecting $24,000 a year, whether it's all at once or whether it's on a contract for the year. And you could even do it without a contract. It's totally up to you, your business. But The work in the background to do this only takes a few hours. So let's say the whole thing takes about 4 hours, right? To get it, like, let's say the setup takes a couple hours, you know, and then over time, let's say it takes you, I don't know, let's say 4 hours of maintenance time, you know, over the course of a year, just to kind of keep the ads running and maybe change out a video once or twice, right? So it's pretty self-running, right? So you put in 6 hours total, and you charge $24,000 for the service. So what's the math on that? Well, 24,000 divided by 6 hours that you put into it over the whole year, that's $4,000 an hour. Now, let's say you put 12 hours in. Well, you still made $2,000 an hour. You're not billing the client for the hour. You're billing them for a service that's friggin' awesome that they've never seen before, that's going to knock their socks off and impress the heck out of them, because they just haven't seen anything so like clean and you know, and professional, and they're willing to pay $2,000 for it, especially if you get even you know, the medium or high yield clients. Medium yield would be like gym, yoga studio, places like that. High yield would be like you know, plastic surgeon. I'd probably consider roofers high yield, dentists, stuff like that. So so that's why I say, you know, you're charging $1,000 an hour. You're not charging $1,000 an hour, although you could. And if you feel confident in your work, you know, you absolutely should charge that if you're doing consulting work, because a good consultant is absolutely worth that. But in this case, you're not charging an hourly rate per se. You're charging for the job itself. So hopefully that answered your question. We got one more question coming in here, so let me address this one. Kathy said, how long do you recommend that a lead ad video be? So I would recommend that a lead ad video be under a minute, because that way you can use it across all the platforms. So if you're using it on Facebook or Instagram, you can do that without a problem. If you keep your videos to under a minute, that way you can basically use them across all platforms and not have any sort of issue with that. So that's what I would say on that. Let's see here. So now, if you guys want to access the $1 free class, I'm going to put the links up here for a little bit so you guys can see them. It's going to be that first link there at the top. It's going to be https://www.knowledgecamp.com/p/lead ads, and that will take you to that $1 class, and you can download that right now if you want to. Also, we're opening up private mentorship for the next couple weeks. I'm going to be doing private mentoring with myself. I'm going to be doing all the private mentoring personally. Now, this is going to be for both people that want to get into e-commerce, which that was kind of my specialty. I was able to do, you know, $1 million my first month in e-com and be able to scale up several e-commerce stores. Or if you want to do ad agency stuff. So ad agency is actually how I first got into doing internet marketing. And so if you're really looking to scale up your agency and do more things with lead ads or things like messenger ads, I'll be mentoring you guys on that. So those are both the links there. The first one there is for the $1 course that's going to walk you through exactly how to do the lead ads. So feel free to go and grab that for $1. You can also see a testimonial from one of Ty's SMA students that used that strategy to put up $24,000 for his business in 3 days. And then the second link down there is for those of you that are interested in mentorship. This will be the third round of mentoring that I've done in the last 12 months. And each time, in the past 2 times, we took on 10 people each time. So same thing this time, we're going to take on 10 people. We've already put this out quite a bit, so we have almost 100 applicants. So we won't be able to pick everybody. So the more explanatory you can be in when you fill out the form there and kind of tell us a little bit about what you're interested in, what you want to learn, why you would be a good mentorship student, that'll kind of help us to find the people that are going to be the best fit, because we only have 10 spots because I'm going to be doing it all myself. So so those are those 2 links. And what I'd like to do now is talk to you guys a little bit about Facebook Messenger ads for about 15 minutes. And this is something that I'll also be teaching in private mentoring. Also, if you guys go ahead and download that dollar lead ads class, we're going to have a messenger ads class coming out really, really soon. And if you download the dollar lead ads class, it'll automatically put you on the list so that once we launch the messenger ads class, you guys will have the ability to go ahead and pick that up. And it'll be actually a pretty low price point. So for what it is, especially. So let me tell you guys a little story so you guys can really understand how powerful messenger ads are. Okay, so there's a person in our industry who's very well known, very famous, runs a business that does about $50 million a year in the internet marketing space. He's interviewed with Ty before. I won't say his name, but he's very famous. And he has a business that is, like I said, doing right around $50 million a year. Now, check this out. So he has two lists, okay? He has an email list that's about 1 million people. Then that's the list that he's had built over time. So it's a 1 million person email list, okay? Recently, he's built a list for Facebook Messenger, okay? His Facebook Messenger list is only 50,000, okay? So the email list is 1 million. The Facebook Messenger list is 50,000, okay? So the email list is 20 times bigger than the Messenger list. Which one, or how do you think they're performing against each other? Do you think the email list is crushing the Messenger list? Well, it's not. The Messenger list is actually performing equal to the email list. This is crazy. Okay, so let me just kind of give you the numbers on this so you guys can understand. Million person email list. To cultivate a 1 million person email list using Facebook, let's say, is going to run you about $5 to $6 an email. So let's use the smaller of the two and be conservative. So let's say it costs you $5 an email, right? That means to build a 1 million person email list would cost you $5 million, right? Now, that's a lot of money. Not bad for a company that's doing about 50 million a year. So still probably a good investment to build that email list, but definitely a chunky investment to have 5 million invested in your email list. Now check this out. The Messenger list, now if you guys are smart, you're asking, well, okay, if the Messenger list is 50,000 and it's doing the same as a 1 million person email list, does that mean that the Messenger list costs that much more? Does it cost 20 times more to get that Messenger opt-in versus email opt-in? Well, the answer is no. And in fact, most of the time it's going to cost you less. So the average Messenger opt-in that we're seeing right now is about $4 to $5 versus an email costing $5 to $6, right? Actually, I'm sorry, not 4 to 5, 3 to 4, 3 to 4 versus 5 to 6. So let's use the higher of the two figures for the Messenger. Let's say it costs $4 for the Messenger times 50,000. That means that that list costs $200,000 versus the email list costs $5 million. They're both doing equal revenue for a company that's producing 50 million a year. So if you could build a list for 200,000 that would do the same as a list for 5 million, why wouldn't you do that? And the reason is that the open rates on Messenger is about 80 to 90% versus email is only 15%. It's not like the old days of email when we had AOL and we got a lot of you might be too young to even know about AOL mail, but they'd say, you got mail. There's even a movie out called You Got Mail. And it was because people got excited when they got email because it was new, it was fresh, and open rates were soaring high. They were probably 80% plus back then, maybe close to 100% because people were so dang excited to get an email. Now, how is it? Are you that excited to get an email now? Probably not. You probably get bombarded with all kinds of spam and all kinds of email, and that's caused the email open rate to drop from around 80% plus to now it's around 15% if you're doing good. And the click-through rate, meaning if you have a link of something you're selling, is only going to be about 2 to 3%. Versus on Messenger, it's going to be 80 to 90%, and the click-through, instead of being 2 to 3%, it's going to be 20% plus. So that's how you're able to basically leverage this new, fresh way of communicating, just like email was back in the day, and you're able to get the opt-ins for actually the same or less than what you would pay for an email, but make way more money off of each opt-in. In this case, this gentleman's making about 20x per person on the list. So every person on his messenger list is making 20 times what a person on his email list is making, and it costs less to build. Now, these numbers might seem staggering. So paying, $5 million for an email list or $200,000 for a messenger list for a company that's doing 50 million, those numbers might seem, out in the stratosphere, but it scales. It's to scale. So if you want to build something smaller, let's say you want to build a $5 million business, well then, instead of having, an email list that cost you 5 million, it would cost you 500,000. Or instead of getting a messenger list that cost you 200,000, it might only cost you 20,000. So you could build a messenger list for 20,000 that could scale you to a $5 million business, or maybe a messenger list for 5,000. Messenger list for 5,000, or for a couple thousand that would scale you close to $1 million or into the $500,000 range. So all of this is to scale. You don't have to be doing things at huge scale to be able to benefit from this. No matter how small or big your business is or medium size, it doesn't matter. This stuff applies across the board. It doesn't matter if your budget is $5 a day or $500 a day or $5,000 a day. No matter what, you guys should jump in and definitely take advantage of some of these new Facebook ad possibilities. And lead ads is one that you can go ahead and download that class for $1. If you do that, you'll be first on the list to have access to the Messenger, the Messenger course, which is going to be releasing in just a few weeks. Also, I'll be jumping back on with you guys. I don't think it's the next call, but maybe the next call after that. So I think in about a month, I'll be back on here. So I actually wanted to go through the Messenger ads with you on that call. So that's probably what we're going to be covering on that next call, is actually just kind of getting deep into Messenger. But again, if you guys want to kind of get on the list early for the lead ads, just go to that first link at the top. And then if you guys want to go ahead and apply for one of the 10 slots that we have for this third round of mentoring that I'll be doing, private mentoring I'll be doing personally, it'll be that second link there. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to a couple questions. So guys, if you guys have any questions about lead ads, messenger ads, Facebook ads, anything you want to throw out there, e-commerce, starting your own agency, I will go ahead and kind of do a deep dive into questions and answers right now. So go ahead and fire your questions over, and I will get through as many of them as I can. And we have about 7 minutes left, but we might go a little bit longer. If you guys have a lot of questions, I'll stick around with you guys for a little bit longer and make sure you get all your questions answered. So let me go ahead and take a look, see what we have here. All right, so we have a question from Liam. Mike, how do the changes in Facebook and Twitter allowing people to opt out of being tracked by the advertiser going to affect how we target ads, as this will hurt hyper-targeting? There's so many changes that are always happening with Facebook. It is an ever-changing platform, and for every disadvantage that comes out, I feel like an advantage comes out. As far as specifically with people opting out of tracking, it's not really going to affect you. It's honestly going to be a small percentage of people that are going to opt out, to be honest. Most people aren't going to mess with it. So you're talking about a minority group of people that are going to opt out. And, so I frankly think the effect will be small. And for lead ads, in this case, in this scenario, you're going for, lack of a better word, going for the kill right away and getting their name, email, and phone number right away. So, even if they opt out of being tracked on Facebook after that, you've already captured the most pertinent information for the business, which is, in this case, going to be email and phone number. So hopefully that answers your question there. Okay, Trevor says, do you offer multiple packages at different prices? If so, what do you put on each package? By the way, I'm not an endorser of this product, but it is super good. I'm drinking some Bulletproof coffee that I got from Whole Foods with collagen protein in it. And this is good stuff, $5, and pick it up at Whole Foods. Super impressed. I used to make this stuff at home, and now it just comes, ready to go at Whole Foods. So Whole Foods and Amazon changing the game, bringing good products to the market. But anyway, back on track. So the question being, What are the different packages that you can offer? So I like to have 3 packages. I think it's kind of a proven strategy. With lead ads, you can have 1 package if you want for like most businesses. I think, like with what you saw with Samir is he was charging $2,000 a month. Just this 1 lead ad strategy, you could easily charge $2,000 a month. And I think that's a really fair, fair number to charge. Now, if you're working with a lower end client, let's say someone that doesn't necessarily not high yield, let's say a yoga studio or maybe a gym that's not doing a large amount of business, you can mark it down. You can mark it down and say, it's $1,000 because with this strategy, the total number of hours for the whole year with a strategy like this is going to be like probably 6 hours total. So if you're charging $1,000 a month for a year, that's $12,000. That means at 6 hours, you're making $2,000 an hour. If you charge $2,000 a month, you're making $4,000 an hour. If you charge, $3,000 a month, that's $36,000. You're making $6,000 an hour. So, any of those numbers are pretty good. I'm sure most of you listening are like, heck, I'd like to make $2,000, $4,000, or $6,000 an hour. Any of those sound good. So, it's really just a matter of kind of positioning it to the client, kind of knowing your client, first of all, kind of having an idea of, hey, if I bring in X number of leads, off the top of your head that an average lead ad is going to cost you somewhere between, I'd say, $3 to $10 on average. If you're in a hyper-targeted market, it might be a little bit more than that. But with those kind of numbers, you can say, okay, well, if I can get leads for that, and I know we're getting the phone number, so I know we can call them right away, and we can probably get at least half of those people to actually come in for the consultation, maybe a third at the very least. So that means we're actually getting the lead to come into the building itself of wherever you're marketing for. Let's say it's for a client or maybe your own business. So you kind of do those math calculations and you figure out, okay, well, I'm getting a lead to actually come in and sit down with one of my sales reps, and to get them in that seat, sit it down, it costs me $30. So if you're dealing with a company that can close, 25% of those, and their average sale price is like $5,000 or whatever it is, you can start to kind of do the math and be like, oh, wow, I can kind of calculate what that lead is worth to the business. And then you can start to kind of extrapolate from there. In general, companies are willing to pay up to, I would say, 25 to 40% for a lead on average. So out of the gross of what they're making. Different companies are different, but like if you're selling a dentist and they're selling a service for $4,000, let's say, I would say a dentist is willing to pay at least 25% for that service, meaning they're willing to pay $1,000 to get that $4,000 client. So somewhere in that neighborhood of 20 to 40%, I would say, is what a client would be willing to pay as a marketing expense. So marketing is generally, in that 20 to 40% realm. So if you can kind of calculate again what the lead costs, what percentage of those leads are coming in to the business, what percentage of those leads are actually closing, and you can kind of do some rough calculations in your head, you can start to form packages around, how those would apply to different companies. And that being said, you can get creative too and kind of have some little bells and whistles that you throw on different packages. So when, like I said, we'll have a messenger ads class coming out, and I'll be jumping back on either in 2 weeks or in 4 weeks. They'll have to let me know. But I'll be teaching a messenger ads class with you guys on the next live call, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But that could be another thing that you add to a package. So one package could be just lead ads. One package could be just messenger ads. One package could be both of them. One package could include SEO if you're learning some SEO strategies from some of the stuff that in the SMMA or courses or stuff like that. So if you are doing client work, you can get creative with the packages. And again, you want to position it so that you are making good money. You want to make over $1,000 an hour, and you're not charging $1,000 an hour, but you're charging a fee per month. And the client, again, doesn't care how much hours you're putting in, how many hours you're putting in. They just care about the results and perceptively how much value it looks like. Okay, so I'll go on to the next question here. Hopefully that helps. Brandon, hello. I had a question in regards to lead ads and collecting leads for local businesses and running an ad agency. How do you actually collect the leads from businesses for your company and your own ad agency? And should we cap this to only local businesses, or can we go international, or what would you recommend? And on the flip side, how do we use this to scale our e-commerce store and build a brand around those leads and market to them? Okay, so first things first. So he says, how do you actually collect the leads? Well, the leads, you know, you can see it in the lead ads class. So if you go to that first link that's on the screen there, https://www.knowledgecamp.com/p/lead ads. That'll be a dollar class that'll walk you through it. So that's going to teach you how we do it. And so that would be my advice for that. But generally speaking, we run a video. The video can be shot on an iPhone. I was speaking earlier, if you heard me, that a lot of the videos that Ty does and that I've run split tests on, a lot of times the ad video, the video that you see on Facebook or that you see on YouTube, the best way we can shoot it, the most not only cost-effective way, but the lowest lead cost is from a phone. People just like that personal touch. They like seeing people talk from their phone because it makes them feel like they're real. And then again, when you go to landing page videos, some of the landing page videos that you see Ty do, it's much more professional. He might have a whiteboard out and he's flipping through it, and it's actually like professional camera equipment. But when you see most of Ty's ads and most of the ads that I've done that have done well have been shot on an iPhone, and I've done a lot of split tests on this. So you want to run an ad. What I generally recommend for kind of how to word your ad, something really, really simple to remember, is feature, benefit, tie down. So you guys could write that down if you have a pen and pad. Feature, benefit, tie down. And this is something that you see in all ads. So feature is what it is, benefit is what it's going to do for you, and tie down is a call to action. So like, for example, if you were selling, we'll use the gym membership for an example. So feature, get a free week at the gym, the brand new gym in Maui. Benefit is get in shape, for the summer, while there's still time. Tie down is the call to action, is, click here now to access your free week. Okay, so that's like, feature is get a free week at the gym. Benefit is what it's going to do for you, lose weight for the summer. Tie down is, click here now to take advantage of your free week. That could be used with any product too. Let's say you're selling makeup, a makeup thing. It's, check out this new mineral makeup. That's like what it is. Be able to, look good and heal your skin. Maybe there's some minerals in the makeup that make your skin, better. It actually, puts vitamins into your skin. So it's like, what it is, here's the makeup, look good while, being healthy for your skin, and tie down is go ahead and download it now. So that's a quick way that you can really just do good ad copy. Feature, benefit, tie down. What it is, what it's going to do for them, what the benefits are for them, and tie down is that call to action. Click here to access. That's a majority of the ads that we do that do really well, use that very, very simple structure. Feature, benefit, tie down. So basically, if you're doing it, you put the video, you put your ad copy that has that sequence, tells the feature of what it is, the benefit of what it's going to do for them, and the tie down, which is the call to action to get them to click. And then the video is just going to be something captivating that's showcasing what you're offering as the free gift. Okay. And then let me look at the other part of this question, which is, should we cap to only local businesses, or can we go international? You can do it all. International is actually going to be less per lead, because the larger you make your audience within Facebook, Facebook is going to charge you less CPM, which is your cost per 1,000 impressions. So when you have smaller local audiences, Facebook is going to charge you a little bit more for every 1,000 people it shows that ad to. As we expand that audience to be nationwide, Facebook is actually going to charge us less. So the bigger we can make our audience, the less Facebook is going to charge us for every 1,000 impressions that we have. Okay. And as far as how to scale it to an e-commerce store and build leads around that, you can offer offers that they can access. So if you have an e-commerce store and you want to offer them a discount or something in your store that they can take advantage of, you can do that with a lead ad. So I did it on a free plus shipping offer where it was like, hey, take advantage of getting this free offer. Go ahead and click here to take advantage, and they would click on the lead ad, and that would be the way that they could basically opt into getting that free plus shipping offer. So kind of a way that you can use lead ads as a way to integrate it into e-commerce as well. Okay, what's the best strategy to get clients to believe in the value of what this strategy offers? I'll tell you what, bar none, the very, very, very best strategy you could do is get one client in your, I could be in your niche, if you can get them in your niche. So if you have a niche, let's say you want to go after doctors or dentists. You're going after dentists. Get one dentist that you're either going to do this for free or that's going to pay you very, very minimal, because you want to get the testimonial, okay? You want to get one client, and it doesn't even have to necessarily be in the niche. You could get a gym, let's say, and get that testimonial, and that testimonial would be good for gyms, but also for yoga studios, Pilates studios, and honestly, you could even use that gym testimonial for something totally different, like a dentist or a doctor, because you can show them, how it works the same no matter what the industry is. But if you can get it in the same niche that you're doing, that's the best. And so get one client first that you either do for free or you charge them just a little bit, okay? Just like cover your time, okay? But don't like go for the moon and charge them a ton. You can if you're a great salesman and you want to go for the high price right away. But if you want a way that you can just get into businesses and crush it, get one client that you do this with and do it for just 30 days, okay? And what that's going to do is you're going to have access to their Insightly. So when you set up their CRM system, you're going to have access to it. And now when you show it to other clients and you're like, hey, here's what I did for such and so, look, all their leads come in real time, and you can scroll through your phone and show them how all these leads come in real time. And when they click on the lead, it has their name, their email, their phone number. A lot of times it has their Facebook, their LinkedIn, their Twitter. All their information gets pulled from Facebook, and the person opting in doesn't have to enter a thing. It's all automatic. So if you can have that and show that, that's like beats anything. Besides that, I would say it's just having a firm understanding of what you're doing. So I would say get the dollar lead ads class, go through it, check it out, and then that's going to make you more confident in what it's actually doing, because we actually walk you through exactly what we're doing and how it works. That way, when you go and explain it to the client, you can say, hey, this is what's going to happen. We're going to be able to get leads into your business from anywhere, shoot high. Say like, it's going to be anywhere from, $5 to $15 or $5 to $20. Give yourself some room there. But here's the thing. It's going to be super solid leads in real time. All the information is going to be accurate. And, and here's what we found. If your salespeople or you're able to call those people back within, the first couple hours of that lead coming in, our experience is that 50% of those people you talk to are going to come into your business for whatever that free offer is. And then out of those 50% of those are going to sign up for whatever your long-term offer is, which, actually signing up for, like in this case, 50% of the people signing up on the lead ads are going to come in for the free membership. And then 50% of those are going to then sign up for the $69 a month membership. And then even a certain percentage of those are going to prepay the whole year, which helps offset the ad budget, because they have ways to incentivize people to say, hey, it's $59 a month or $69 a month, but if you prepay the whole year, it's only $500 for the year. And that's a way that they can really start to kind of build that ad budget money. Okay, so a couple more questions here, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. If you have any more questions, go ahead and shoot them in. Okay. Cool. All right. Any pitfalls you think people commonly fall into in the world of e-commerce? That's from Kyle. Yeah, I mean, I think getting into strategies that just worked a long time ago, that's probably the biggest one. One of the things that I teach on in my mentorship program is how you can get in the game with e-commerce in 2018. That's a big thing for me, and that's a great question, by the way. I have four steps to this process, and I use the acronym RAMP, R-A-M-P. And what RAMP stands for, like ramping up, you're going to ramp up your sales, right? You're starting from nothing in e-commerce, or maybe a little bit, and you're trying to ramp up to, I was able to do over $1 million in my first 30 days. I'm sure a lot of you would be okay with even doing 100,000 in your first 30 days. So RAMP stands for 4 things. These are the 4 steps. The first step in RAMP is research. That is a step most people leave out of the equation when it comes to e-commerce. Most people are like, hey, I want to sell something I really like. So if I like dogs, I'm going to start a dog store. Or if I like cats, I'm going to start a cat store. That is bogus. Okay. If you want to start a store, you should start a store selling what people are buying. You're doing much more of a service to people if you're selling what other people like, as opposed to selling what you like. Okay, and the first step that most people miss is research. There are research tools out there. One of them is called AdSector, and you can go into AdSector and you can look and see what's selling right now. So you can say, hey, what was selling last week? What was selling last month? What was selling yesterday? And there's ways that you can basically, using that software, find the top stores and find the top products that are selling. And I'm talking products that are doing like hundreds of thousands, if not millions a month. And I'm not talking like last year, 2 years ago. I'm talking like last month. So first step, research. Second step in RAMP is A, which stands for attach. And what attach means is attach it to your store. What that means is you find the vendor that's selling those top products that you want to sell, and you use a software tool that we recommend to attach those into your store. And what that does is truly enables drop shipping. When I did, let's just say my first month, 1.3 million, we shipped over 40,000 pieces. I never touched one single piece. So if I had to ship 40,000 pieces in a month and I had to have somebody boxing that stuff up and printing out labels and going to the mailbox and all that stuff, that would be chaos. I would not be wanting to, the money would be great, but I wouldn't want to really sign up for that job. So drop shipping is really where it's at. And the way we do that is through attachment. And once we find the top products, then we find the top vendors that are offering those products, the manufacturers, and we use a software to attach them into our store. And what that means is that when we sell them in our store, it sends a signal to the manufacturer to go ahead and ship that product. That's truly drop shipping. So that way we're able to ship, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars a month worth of products, and we don't have to touch a single product because the product is attached in our store to the manufacturer, and when the sale comes in on our e-commerce store, it sends a signal to the manufacturer. Okay, that's A. M is marketing. So marketing is basically 2 major platforms for marketing: Facebook's Power Editor and Google's Editor. Facebook controls Facebook, Instagram, and all of Facebook's partners. Google controls Google Search, Google Display Ads, and YouTube. So all of those are controlled through 2 platforms: Google's platform and Facebook's platform. You can manage all of those things. So that's step 3, is learning how to manage that. And then P is produce. And by produce, we talk about product for fulfillment. And this is where a lot of people miss. They think that once they market and they sell something, that's the end game. That is not the end game. The biggest bottleneck that you will have, 90% of your time in e-commerce will go into fulfillment. And if you're not doing it right, it will crush you. You will get every single person that bought from you sending you an email asking you for the tracking number. So if you have to respond to 40 or 50,000 emails a month of people asking for a tracking number, and you have to look up each one of those manually and get back to those people, you're going to lose your mind, okay? So we use software systems, again, to be able to reduce that. So we take that production phase, the fulfillment, which would normally take 90% of your time, and by far is going to be your biggest bottleneck, and we reduce that, like almost eliminate it, actually, so that you can actually scale up to a $100,000 store or $1 million store, but it only feels like you're managing like a $5,000 or a $10,000 store because you have everything so efficient and you have software systems that are doing the fulfillment and the emailing of tracking numbers, and all these sort of things are done automatically. So that's RAMP. It's, research, find the top products, find the top stores, attach them into your store. So find the top vendors and attach your products to those vendors so they can drop ship them for you. M is marketing. That's Google and Facebook, which controls Facebook, Instagram, Google Display, Google Search, and YouTube. And then P is produce, which is fulfillment. So eliminating that 90% of the work. Okay. And go on to the next question. Should I start the e-commerce site for a business making $60K a month with thousands of parts merchandise? They don't have a POS. We are currently getting one. Or should I hire a third party? They are charging 10 to 25K to make it. Should I start an e-commerce site for a business making $60K a month with thousands of parts merchandise? They don't have a POS. We are currently getting one. Or should I hire a third party? I mean, I don't know if I'm the best person to answer this because my strategy for e-com is very specific. I find the best products that are out there that are doing the highest volume, and I find the vendors that are offering those, and I do superior marketing, and I have a superior site. Like, that's my go-to. When I did the same thing with shirts. I don't really innovate when I'm doing e-commerce. Like when I was, selling more shirts than probably anybody on the planet, as far as like an individual seller, I wasn't the first to market on a lot of these designs. I researched. I did the first step in the ramp process. I researched. I found out what was already selling, and then I just made it better. I went in and didn't copy those designs, but I emulated those designs, made them better, made them my own, and then made the marketing better and put more money behind it, and was, crushing the competition, even though I wasn't necessarily innovating. And that's why I like R in that first step of the process, research. And this question that just came through, I think, has to do more with they already have a pre-existing business. They have thousands of parts of merchandise. Do they want to put it online? I mean, if you think there's a market there, you can, but that's very different from what I teach. What I teach allows people to scale up to that $100,000 or $1 million level and do it very efficiently, where you're not touching products, you're not dealing with SKUs, you're not shipping, you're basically like cutting the work super low. So it feels like you're managing a very small, like $5,000 or $10,000 store, but you really could be having a $100,000 or $1 million store because you have it dialed in so efficiently. So anyway, I don't know if that necessarily answered your question, but like I said, the strategy I teach with e-commerce is very specific, and the first step is always research and finding those top products. All right, and I think this is going to be the last question. Number 10, I'm from Nigeria and there is no Stripe integration in my country. I am also weary of PayPal. What else can I use? To be honest, I'm not familiar with Nigeria as far as like what your options are out there. If you're using, it just depends on what you're selling on. I mean, if you're using Shopify, as I guess one of the questions would be, what are you offering? Like, are you doing an e-commerce store? Are you selling digital products? Like, what are you doing? If you're doing Shopify, as an example, Shopify has tons and tons of merchant integration options, like huge list. So you could just go through the list on Shopify and say, hey, which ones can I use? And I would have a hard time believing that none of them on Shopify would work out there in Nigeria or maybe anywhere else in the world where maybe merchant account stuff is limited. So if you're using Shopify and you set up a merchant, then you look at all the other merchant options. Now, something I will tell you with Shopify that's very, very important, they do charge you a fee if you use another merchant besides Shopify. If you do the $29 program, they charge you double the fee. So on top of whatever your merchant is charging, if you're using an outside merchant of Shopify. So if you're using non-Shopify merchant, just one of their partner merchants, they charge you double the fee as on the $29 plan as they do the $79 plan. So if you're doing any amount of volume whatsoever, I would definitely upgrade to the $79 plan because I believe it takes a full 1% off. So I mean, if you're doing $50,000 a month, 1% is going to be $500. So it's going to be, worth it to save that 500 just by paying an extra $50. So take a look at that. And there are a lot of merchant options on Shopify. And I think that is good to go. So really appreciate you guys. Again, if you want to get that dollar class and actually have a walkthrough of exactly how to do lead ads, go to https://www.knowledgecamp.com/p/lead ads. And again, we're opening up our third round of doing private mentorship with myself personally. We have 10 slots for this one. We've already done 2 sets of 10, so this will be our third time we've done 10 people. We already have, I think, around 100 applications, so we're not going to be able to get everybody in there just because I'm doing all of it privately. But if you are interested in scaling up an e-commerce store, I teach you guys exactly how you can scale up to a $100,000 or $1 million a month store in 2018. Or if you're getting into doing ad agency stuff, that's how I got started in the world of internet marketing. And I'll teach you guys in depth on how we're going to use or how you can use messenger ads and lead ads and some of these new strategies for your clients, and also SEO to really build a solid agency. So if either of those are of interest to you, getting private mentorship on e-commerce and really scaling up a store in 2018, or if you are wanting to really scale up your ad agency, go ahead and go to that second link there, which is https://www.knowledgecamp.com/p/mentorme. So appreciate you guys so much and hope this was super helpful, and wish you guys all the success in the world. And I will probably see you guys again in about a month. So aloha, and I'll see you guys later.